Peace, greetings to you all. It's your brother Nyhiem, BKA Lord Abba, aka Mr. Just the Facts. Just the Facts. Y'all know what time it is. Make sure y'all hit that like button, family. Share the video out. Let them know that an important discussion is being had on the Be the Power channel. You know, shout out to my BTP bros. Shout out. Let me give a shout out to the folks that's in the chat thus far. Sister Kelly Pryor, who is also a member. Peace. Shout out to the members. Sister Shanna is also a member. Peace. Sister Roz is in the building. What's good, Sister Roz? Late Show 42 said Abba been on the world tour smashing Sonetta, Garfield, laugh out loud. I wouldn't necessarily say Sonetta. Garfield always get this work. He know what time it is, man. Sister Brianna in the building. What's good, sis? Long time no hear from. Hayward McCullough says, greetings from Columbia, South Carolina. Descendant of Job. Freedman says, peace, family. And you know, yeah, what's good to the BTP Riri is in the building. What's good, sis? The fam is on deck. We ready to go. We get this conversation moving. So, to the people who are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can become a part of the notification nation so that you'll be notified every time BTP goes live and you won't miss any of this dynamic content. My brother Grim believes that we have been shadow banned, and it is what it is, right? You know, I feel that as well, but we're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep pushing out this good information and keep addressing the issues that need to be addressed. My brim looks so crooked. Well, I guess I'm fold it up a little bit. But I jumped on a live stream yesterday with brother Garfield and Stu Peas. Two Jamaican brothers and a bunch of other brothers, Black Lion, this other guy's name, Kaya, I believe it was, and a brother named Seneb. You know, some of these brothers I've had run-ins with, the glare in these joints. Some of these brothers I've had run-ins with. Some people just don't like you, right? It is what it is. And I learned that growing up. So that part doesn't bother me.
But one of the things that I learned was that we, when it comes to this type of information right here, there's this whole kumbaya pan-Africanist thing that's going on. And what people don't realize is that it's hurting our collective political movement. They don't understand that. And we're gonna get into some things today. We're gonna touch on some stuff today. Because in the conversation, I can tell that the brothers that's on Garfield's panel, shout out to Sister Tamika in the building. She was in the chat going there, holding it down because she heard reason. It wasn't, and she's, you know what I'm saying? She rocks with that channel heavy. And it wasn't like she was just supporting my position because she rocks with Lord Ab. No, she heard the reason and the sound argument. Miss Tiffany is also in the chat. Peace. BTP Corey was good. I see you, fam. You know, like the arguments were sound, and I wasn't even able to pull up sources because I was on my phone, but I was reading from several sources. So one of the strategies, because I'm so used to getting jumped in these arenas, right? I always go into the Lions Den. It's like 5, 6 dudes. That part doesn't bother me. When you used to getting jumped, you just learn how to fight and roll with the punches and singularly focus on each individual. And that's what I did. I was able to have conversations or debates with each individual. You know, Garfield was doing his usual hating thing, talking about Lord Abba is being disingenuous, yada, yada, yada. Like, all right, man. I don't do disingenuous. I could be wrong about anything. We can all be wrong about some stuff, but I don't do disingenuous. And he knows that. So I wanted to come on here today and basically do a recap stream, because one of the things that, you know, peace to Akeem Blue. He said he's seen it back and forth with the Aboriginal power guy. That was just a travesty, man. Mike and them got to leave that doctrine alone. But one of the things that, what was I about to say? Oh, one of the things that Garfield was saying is what we see in the title of this video, which is, Abba, leave immigration alone. Stop talking about immigration. Stop talking about immigration. You know, my sister Riri says she got my back. Honest, sis, honest, you know? And that's always great to know when the sisters got your back. You know what I'm saying? When you doing this work and you on the front lines as a soldier, when you know that the sisters got your back, man, listen, that gives you that battery. You know, you grew up in a single mother household, and you outside fighting. It wasn't nothing like when your moms came through and she said, beat his ass. You just start going in. That's the same thing when the sisters got your back. So shout out to all of the sisters that support Be the Power and the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. You know, y'all already know we got nothing but love for y'all. So I told Garfield I'm not going to stop talking about immigration, right? The guy Stu Pease was talking about, yeah, but they called the Africans African booty scratcher. I said, brother, in public school, I didn't remember there being one African brother, not one, right? I couldn't remember one. Maybe there was. I remember the Chinese kid that was in my class in most of elementary school, Sing Ping. I still remember his name. I don't remember any of the African kids. I don't know if we had. I'm not going to say we didn't have them. I just don't remember any of them. So he brought up African booty scratcher, right? Freedmen Media, I see you in the building, fam. He brought up African booty scratcher. It's like African booty scratcher was a joke that we said among ourselves. This wasn't a joke that we said to other Africans. It just, you know, And what he was doing was repeating what the African immigrants have been repeating. And my response was, so these people who are dissing us now, because we talked about that part of it, that, you go into Clubhouse, when Clubhouse was popping, and there would be a room with 1,000 African and Caribbean immigrants just dissing freedmen and the American blacks. Shout out Sister Cynthia Blaine. It's definitely an interesting topic, Freeway Dread. And so I'm like, these grown people are telling me their butt hurt from the jokes that that means you ain't got tough enough skin to be involved in this Black American or American Black or to be specific freedman experience. And we're gonna get into some of that. So, grown people talk about African booty scratching. So our King Blue said, I was called an African booty scratcher, and I'm freedman on both sides of my family. Imagine how I felt, So Sister Brianna said, I went to school with many foreign blacks and never realized we were different until I was around 17 or 18. No one teased them at all because at my school, we didn't even know that they were African, right? So this is a lie that they were called African booty scratchers. And that's why these people crazy. All right, so I got too many browsers open. Let me close some of this stuff out, man. Hold on, family. Let me close some of these browsers out because I'm getting some lag on my StreamYard feed, and I'm not sure if it's coming through that way on y'all's end, but I see it. Brother Tony Blunt, shout out to Tony Blunt. He said, we cracked on each other all the time. That is the freedman culture. They out there trying to get reparations because someone hurt their feelings. Wow, exactly, right? That's Garfield? Garfield said he not jumping on. Shout out to Brother Garfield. He's been I'm going to say an intellectual adversary of mine for over the past couple years. I have no hard feelings for the brother at all. But I want to start from this book, see if y'all can see it, because there was some troll in the chat talking about, ask Lord Abba about Roy Beck. I addressed it right on Garfield's stream yesterday. We asked Roy Beck two times, are you a racist? Are you a white supremacist? He said no. This book that he wrote and the history that he gave and the statistics, the data, et cetera, this book aligns with our interests politically. And if you understand politics, then, well, you move with what aligns with your interests because it's going to better your cause. That's why Garfield capes for the Black immigrant community. That's why he kept bringing it back to Jamaicans. I don't care what the part of the conversation was about. He would go back to Jamaicans. I'm like, okay, I see what he's doing. Then somebody called him out in the chat, but I want to read this first. And we're going to get into that Jamaican thing. We're going to get into that. All right, so this is page 7, chapter 2, a quick walk through the history. Let me see. You know what? I'll read this whole portion. In the 1820s in the North, well before the Civil War, more than 100,000 African Americans were free of slavery and in the labor force when the first waves of mass immigration swept over American shores. Historians find that employers immediately began to take advantage of the surplus labor and the larger choice of white employees whom they moved to the front of the hiring lines. They moved them to the front of the hiring lines. Black workers were systematically displaced over the next decades of spikes in immigration, mainly from Northern Europe. Ex-slave Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist orator, activist, and writer, he should have added reparationist, lamented at the time, the old employments by which we have heretofore gained our livelihood are gradually, and it may be inevitably, passing into other hands. Every hour sees the black man elbowed out of employment by some newly arrived immigrant whose hunger and whose color are thought to give him a better title to the place. That's key, right? And let me key up my other page because we're gonna get to some stuff today. We're gonna get to some history, right? It's one thing to give our opinions about stuff, but opinions are opinions, man. Honest for the contribution, Freedmen Media, brother Shannon. Peace to my Freedmen family, man. The Freedmen are in the building. This resurrection has been monumental, and I just want to take time to acknowledge everybody who's out there genuinely spreading this Freedmen message, man. I just want to give honors to you all. So, and I can't see the chat. Let me pull Cynthia. That book is fire. I don't care who wrote it exactly. So our history is in that book and how immigration is hurting us. So, all right, I'm gonna go. Let's go to A. Philip Randolph, Freedman giant. Let's go to him first. Mentor to Martin Luther King. I mean, if you're familiar with the history of the Freedmen, A. Philip Randolph was a giant among giants. So let's read from here. Matter of fact, so y'all can know the Center for Immigration Studies, low immigration, pro-immigrant, right? So this article is titled Immigration and Digestion. A. Philip Randolph, Radical and Restrictionist. So let's go scroll back down. Randolph and Restriction. If he perceived contradiction between their restrictionist desires and inclusionist principles, if the perceived contradiction between their restrictionist desires, my bad, my chair's messing up on me. Oh, if the perceived if the perceived contradiction between their restrictionist desires and inclusionist principle led civil rights leaders to silence, not all national black leaders were silent. In August of 1924, A. Philip Randolph articulated the most thoroughgoing opposition to immigration. Instead of reducing immigration to 2% of the 1890 quota, we favor reducing it to nothing. We favor shutting out the Germans from Germany, the Italians from Italy, the Hindus from India, the Chinese from China, and even the Negroes from the West Indies. This country is suffering from immigration indigestion. Randolph made clear that his reason was economic and social. It is time to call a halt on this grand rush for American gold, he said, which overfloods the labor market, resulting in lowering the standard of living, race riots, and general social degradation. The excessive immigration is against the interests of the masses of all races and nationalities in the country, both foreign and native. Randolph's restrictionist position may have been well influenced by his experience as a Southern migrant to New York City amid the large influx of West Indians during the period. Born in 1889 in Jacksonville, Florida, Randolph moved to New York at the moment the West Indians as well as African Americans were arriving in the city in large numbers. See, we do research over here, Brother Garfield. We don't do emotional opinions, my brother. In 1930, over 50,000 foreign blacks lived in New York. As Du Bois' second reason for silence reveals, many African Americans were hostile toward West Indians. Certainly, Randolph also could be harsh on West Indians, yet his basis of criticism of West Indians lay in their political shortcomings, not their economic competition or ethnic chauvinism. For all their talk of resisting oppression, West Indians, Randolph believed, did not take the appropriate steps to organize against discrimination. Most notably, Randolph castigated West Indians for not becoming citizens of the United States. To challenge discrimination, blacks, he held, needed political power, and such power could only be garnered by citizens. Quote, it is also elementary that whether one be a citizen or not, he is affected by the legislation of the country where he happens to be residing. He called for black immigrants to follow the example of the Jews and the Irish who had become citizens to increase their clout. Here, family, y'all know how we do. We drop links. We educate the family as we educate and become educated ourselves. Oh, let me see. Put that in the chat. Let's stop sharing that. So we see that these West Indians came in, and their thing was, I'm just going to get to this money. I'm going to get to this bag. I don't care about what's going on with black people and the political machinery and machinations that they have to deal with as a people. I'm here to get this bread, right? And Garfield said yesterday his people didn't have to come to America. I was going to pull up some stats on Jamaica, but I decided to just chill, just leave that part of it out. So let's go back to Roy Bex's book. I want to juxtapose what this giant, A. Philip Randolph, was saying in the early 1900s about these West Indians that came up and refused to become citizens at the time. Obviously, they had different immigration requirements, but nowadays, but we're going to get to that too, about non-citizens in the United States of America. We're going to get to all of that. We're going to show how this is hurting us. So we're not listening to Garfield and Stu Pease about the things that affect us, trying to get us to in line with Narcan and Cobra, and let them people that don't know what the hell they're talking about or what they're doing lead us off the same cliff that they keep driving off of decade after decade after decade. Hell no. It's not happening, fam. Okay, so this is put from page 43. I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. All right. It says each year the Republican Party's power in the North eroded. And let's be clear, the Republican Party was the original party of the freedmen, the quote unquote American Negro. That's what's meant here. Each year, the Republican Party's power in the North eroded as hundreds of thousands of immigrants entered their region, with most throwing their political lot in with the Democratic Party and its strong opposition to Southern Reconstruction. Immigrants, family, they were coming over here. The white ones were aligning themselves with white supremacy. The black ones didn't care. They didn't care. They was here to get that bag. They wasn't trying to fight discrimination so long as they could get a job. F you, freedmen. I don't care. We getting our bag. We getting our bag. Let me continue. The immigrants then streaming into the major cities of the North from all over Europe had no guilty conscience over American slavery and were much likely to adopt the anti-Reconstruction stance of the Democrats. And although there was party realignment, the Democrats, well, they're still against us. They're still against us until this day. New York City is a Democratic stronghold. California, a Democratic stronghold. These people are still against the freedmen. In many senses, party realignment meant nothing for us. That's why we're now taking our political control and placing it in our own hands. We will be the stewards of our political plight from here on out. The freedmen. Okay. A number of philanthropic merchants in New York City tried after the Civil War to open the job market up to more black workers, but the power of the immigrant organizations were too strong. Many cities had, I don't know if that was the Civil War that he's talking about here, because it just says the war. But the power of immigrant organizations were too strong. Yeah, he means the Civil War. Many cities had similar experiences as the burgeoning immigrant population were able to form political machines and take control in city governments. Essayist and author Michael Lind has pointed out that the power often was enhanced because the immigrant controlled political machines were overlaid with the underworld that had come from the old country with the immigrants. He's talking about the mafia. They imported criminality with them. They talk about Chicago. They don't talk about the empire that was built up off of the criminal nature of the Italians, for instance, and the Irish and the Jewish mafia, etc., and what they brought over here. Talk about that. These people are all clean there. It says, especially in New York City, where an alliance of Irish immigrants and Southern Democrats had created the Tammany machine. A strain of white supremacy ran through the new power structure. And this is the book they say was written by white supremacists. Before the Civil War, one of the Democratic merchants, Hiram Ketchum, assured the Southern states, quote, if ever a conflict arises between races, the people of the city of New York will stand by their brethren, the white race. We will never suffer you to be trampled upon by those of another blood, meaning the Negro, the freedmen. Let me see. On page 44, it says, Farley, professor of African American history at the State University of New York, Brockport, said black residents not only lost their jobs to the new immigrants, but, quote, the immigrants took up residence in city wards where their numerical majority made the black population politically impotent, end quote. Across the North, in precincts with heavy immigrant settlement, votes on issues and candidates turned against the interest of both Northern and Southern Black Americans. The hopes of ex-slaves in the South were dashed in Northern cities that not only were losing interest in equal rights in the South, but were creating stronger anti-Black systems in the North. I want to go back a bit. I want to go back to what A. Philip Randolph said. Because let me see. It says, most notably, Randolph castigated West Indians for not becoming citizens of the United States. To challenge discrimination, blacks, he held, needed political power, and such power could only be garnered by citizens. Quote, it is only elementary that whether one be a citizen or not, he is affected by the legislation of the country where he happens to be residing, end quote. He called for black immigrants to follow the example of the Jews and the Irish who had become citizens to increase their clout. If you listen carefully to Brother Garfield, I think Brother Garfield believes that he's helping. This is that paternalistic, right? This I read on his stream yesterday study paper that I read on this platform. When diversity for diversity's sake is not enough, and I can pull that up as well. And I showed how Black immigrants, according to this study and my personal experience, and I mean, we've all experienced it just from Clubhouse and Twitter over the past 2 years, the Twitter spaces, how Black immigrants bring with them different cultural views and often take on the same look down, this is words I'm adding, look down or thumb up nose attitude towards freedmen here in America that the dominant society, meaning white folks, take towards our people. In fact, in Bex's book, he explicates that perfectly. Perfectly. So my brother Garfield, right, he doesn't understand that his attitude is paternalistic. He believes that he has the right to tell us that we should align ourselves with Cobra and NARC, these people who are against our political interests, whose political interest doesn't align with ours. It's like Laura Ingraham telling LeBron James to just shut up and dribble. Then they try to charge us with being white supremacists or having white supremacist talking points. The nerve. But what I want to do is I want to play this quick video. And play this quick video. And this is a dominant thought process of many Jamaican Americans, not all, because I've met some stellar Jamaican Americans in my time growing up in New York City, right? I've met some stellar Africans, whatever continent, very few, but I've met some growing up in New York City, right? You come across them as you travel through the city and, you know, you work and you become a part of whatever institutions, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to play this paternalistic attitude. I want it to play out in these words, because one of the things that Garfield and Stu Pease was saying yesterday, his Jamaican brethren on a stream yesterday, was the white supremacist lie that Black folks are lazy. Freedmen are lazy. They, right? I believe it was Garfield or one of them said that the Black people don't want to work the fields. Roy Beck in this book destroys that lie. He destroys that lie and gets the accounts of the freedmen who worked the fields and how they got pushed out by these corporations due to the fact that they could pay these Mexicans less, pay them less. People are perpetuating this white supremacist stereotype that our people are lazy and that they outwork us, right? Jamaicans got 3 jobs. Remember the In Living Color skit? I'm the school janitor, the teacher, the auto repair guy, yada, yada, yada. Like these were shots at us, freedmen, saying that we didn't work, because especially in places like New York City, they were able to get the jobs that the white-owned establishments didn't want to give to the freedmen. So let's play this clip. Fair use only. Fair use only. People be flagging videos nowadays, but it is what it is. I mean, I'll risk video demonetization for the truth. It's not like we make a lot of money on our YouTube channel anyway. So let's play this video.
Going to college was a fresh start because nobody knew each other.
Right? He's a more famous Jamaican American. Let's listen to DJ Academic's paternalistic view and repeating of the white supremacist trope. And y'all see the title, DJ Academics on seeing immigrants outwork Black Americans in college. Let's go.
And I got a chance to put my personality out there, right? They didn't look at me as just, oh, this is an immigrant. I was just Livingston, right? My first year didn't do as well. It's the first time in my life I never did well academically. but I was enjoying myself. Second year, I'm like, yo, I got to figure this shit out. I meet with like this counselor, and we had to pick because all I took was hard science classes and hard math classes. And I think I failed one of the science classes. It's like organic chemistry. And the only thing that matched was like this major at Rutgers University called biomathematics, and I picked that. And the whole goal was, I'm not leaving this fucking college without a career that will guarantee me $100,000.
Right.
That's the only thing that my parents will actually be proud of me about.
Yeah.
If I come out here and I'm a social worker making 40, 50 grand, they're going to look at me and say, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah. And any degree with the word mathematics in it will get you about 100K.
Yeah. And also you could use it later if you did want to go to like med school or something.
Yeah. Med school, if you want to go into computer science, if you want to go into, chemistry, whatever else, like all this, the mathematical basis will help you overall. And I mean, that's how I felt also when I went to college. It's like, yo, I'm not here to fuck around. Like I got my chance to go to Berkeley, and I
want to point out that DJ Vlad is a Russian immigrant as well, who also exploits freedmen here in America. The most base population of us. He's Shade Room, Blavity, Savoy, name them. All of these platforms are ran by largely black immigrants, family. Black immigrants is highlighting the worst of us. Highlighting the worst of us. And Vlad is no different.
I'm gonna make this degree count.
Vlad, I'm going to tell you something, and this might be controversial. But for the people who don't know, you go to any college these days, the people who work the hardest, we're going to, no respect, we're moving white people out of the mix. You see them Africans who are immigrants, they fucking study all night. You see them first generation Indians, all my high level math classes, they're all in.
The Asians who don't speak English, they're busting their ass.
Killing
it. Yep, I remember all that.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Vlad know where this is going.
And other immigrants, they go crazy. Only people who I be see chilling, a lot of the black Americans, they be in there cooling like this is a chill out. And I don't fault them because it's a mentality thing. I've been talking to people about that. It's like, as an immigrant, you feel like you just have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to do it. A lot of people go to college to chill, to get girls. And I watched what everybody else did, and I seen the battery that was in my back, and yo, you got to figure this shit out. I was in my leave college until I figured it out.
All right, so basically he was saying that this is a mentality, and I understand. What he is saying is that the mentality of black Americans is to go to college and get girls. Let me tell you, family, people drop out because remember early he was basically like exclude the white people, forget the white. I ain't talk about them. I'm gonna focus on the black folk. That's who the freedmen, the American blacks. I'm gonna focus on them. That's who I'm gonna focus on, right? So, and he boiled it down to immigrants have a certain mentality that they named them Africans, Caribbeans, Asians that don't speak English, Vlad said. When it came to the black, you seen how his demeanor changed? You know why? Because that's a person that's used to talking down on black folk, meaning freedmen. That's why his body language did what it did. And he's talking about it publicly on the air in front of this white Russian guy, this white Russian Jew that looks and views us the same way. So this is how Brother Garfield comes off to me. Now, I don't know if he's intentionally doing it because some behaviors are so entrenched in us that we don't, like academics said, it's a mentality. Although I don't know the mentality of not one person, not one freedman that I know that personally went to college to go get girls. Excuse me. to go get girls. That's some made up stuff. That's some made up stuff, fam. He's making that up. It's HBCUs all over this country with high graduation rates. Girls are in college. Just because the chicks wasn't digging him, and he said it in another Vlad video. Chicks wasn't digging me in high school and college. Some of these dudes have chips on their shoulders because they was chumps, they was punks, they was probably getting beat up by the freedmen. So they had to hang around the corny dudes who stayed into the books all night, right? Which was usually the Africans, et cetera, had no other life. They wasn't trying to do none of the other dorm activities, wasn't trying to become a part of any of the frats and sororities, et cetera. So it's like, I got to hang around these. But the freedmen are the cool dudes. That's why this dude started doing the videos on Chicago drill music, which eventually became his lane and how he blew up. He didn't put those degrees that he went to college to use. You don't need a degree to instigate beefs with Chicago gangs and gangs in all over the United. You don't need a degree to do that. This dude's just cornballs, man. Cornballs. We don't allow these people to talk down on us and tell us what we need to do, et cetera, et cetera. So that was just one element of it. I'm gonna get into some more. We're gonna get into some immigration stuff now, because we not and we will never stop talking about how immigration hurts our people. That's just not gonna happen. So where do I want to go with this first? Okay, y'all know how we do. Let me put this link in the chat. Put this link in the chat, man. Another thing I got to point out from Garfield. Like, when you used to saying white supremacist stuff, right? And I guess this is an accusation that we're levying at each other, because I'm just saying that immigration is bad for us. When you start calling white people racist, what do they say? What's the first thing that they say? No, I have black friends. I'm not a racist. This dude Garfield said, I got children by 2 black Americans, meaning freedmen. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm listening. I'm like, I don't know if this dude really hears himself, but I'm on his platform, so I got to be easy, because I know what it is, what it's like to go into the lion's den and you got to battle with 5 or 6 people and questions is coming this way, and somebody trying to ask you a question while you still trying to answer the next question, and then somebody trying to hit you with a gotcha question at the same time, and then they asking you, why you not answering me? Why you not? When you've done battle like that for so much, man, you get in that cage with anybody, and you do what I did to them brothers yesterday. You school them all up. You put a lion in the cage with 4 foxes, 5 foxes, and the lion will come out victorious. So, all right, we're gonna go here first. I'll put the link in the chat. Let's go here first. Man. This is from the Pew Research Center. Mr. Just the Facts. All we do is facts over here, family. We don't gotta do emotionalisms and opinions. I get emotional, right? Because they was in the chat saying, Lord Abba getting emotional. I love my people. That's right. I'm emotional, passionate. I'm doing all of that for my people. Lord Abba was Lord Abba's still a more. Still a more. He was Nuwapian. Yeah, I studied that stuff years ago. That's the knock on the information that I'm presenting? Can you say something about the information, please? Forget about Lord Abba. I'm just a vessel for the information, a.k.a. Mr. Just the Facts. Okay, so this August 20, 2020, Facts on U.S. Immigration 2018, statistical portrait of the foreign-born population in the United States. Characteristics of the U.S. foreign-born population, 1960 to 2018. There were a record 44.8 million immigrants living in the U.S. in 2018, making up 13% of the nation's population. This represents a more than fourfold increase since 1960, when 9.7 million immigrants lived in the U.S., accounting for 5.4% of the total U.S. population. Click the links below each summary table, yada, yada, yada. When Martin Luther King Jr. was doing his thing in the 60s and battling against white supremacy, and Roy Beck breaks that down in his book, Back of the Hiring Line. He shows this. The United States, excuse me, I got allergies, family, so excuse me. The United States chose to open up immigration. Let me see if I can find that one part, man. He said every time Black progress was made, America inexplicably let a lot of immigrants in. Black people freed from slavery, massive migration. Black people get Voting Rights Act passed and Civil Rights Acts in 64 and 65, massive migration. All of these things people ask, why didn't that stuff King did work? Why didn't that stuff King did? Y'all not studying. 44.8 million immigrants. That was 2018. They're letting immigrants in at 1 million a year, family. 13.7% of the nation's population. That's almost as much as our people here in the United States of America, the freedmen. If you take away the 4.6 million immigrants who are part of this 44.8 million, then we're sitting around, I believe, 36 million people. The United States of America let these foreigners come over and outnumber us as a class, because immigrant is a status in the United States of America. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. So let's close this one out. I'll put the link in the chat. Let's go to this next one. Link in the chat. Let's get into Black immigrants, Black immigration. Response to my brother Garfield and Stu Pease and everybody on that panel that want us to all of a sudden stop talking about immigration because it sounds white supremacist. Man, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Let's share this next one. I put the link in the chat. Y'all know how we do over here. We just sauced up, man. Sauced up. Okay. Pew Research Center. Again, 1 in 10 Black people living in the United States are immigrants. Most Black immigrants, 1 in 10 Black people we're being replaced, family. Have you seen that movie, Us, by Jordan Peele, where the families, like some ghost family, comes and takes over the actual family? That movie is fitting, right? Because Winston Duke, who plays the husband, was from Tobago. What's her name? Lupita Nyong'o is from, somebody help me out in the chat, but she's, I want to say Kenyan, maybe. I can't remember her exact nationality. Somebody help me out in the chat with that one. But the funny part was these two immigrant actors, they didn't want me to touch on that neither on Garfield's show yesterday, right? All these freedmen, these great freedmen from these movies from the 80s or 90s, they can't get roles today because all of the top roles are going to Black immigrants. Right? This is the taking of your jobs right in your face. So, okay, Kenyan is what Brother Akeem put in. Kenyan, Mexican, Metro Custom. Honest, family. that family gets taken over by this ghost family in the movie. I think even the daughter, one of the daughters may have been an immigrant as well. I'm not certain, but let's get into this link, right? Most black immigrants live in Northeast, South. New York City has the largest black immigrant population by metro area. Now, New York City is vital. That's where Garfield lives. That's where the majority of black immigrants live. That's where a majority of Jamaican Americans live, in New York City. So when you break down what Brother Garfield is saying, he's fighting for his class of people, and he doesn't want us to speak about that. It's almost like white supremacists saying, don't speak about racism. They start calling you a racist when you start speaking about racism. Okay, so let's get into this. The South has the largest share of the black foreign-born population. The vast majority of black immigrants in 2019 lived in either the Northeast or the South, 79% that year. The South was the region with the highest share of the country's black immigrant population, with 42% living there. So they're spread out all over the South. The Northeast had the second highest share, 36% of the black immigrant population, while the West and Midwest were each home to roughly 1/10 of this population. These people go to where we are. They don't go build up places by their own hand and their own monies. They stack and then they move to freedmen cities all throughout the South, like Atlanta, where their numbers are steadily increasing. And they go and become politicians there, and they start to fight for this all lives matter type of political, they take up these all lives matter types of political fights. Garfield don't really understand that that's what he's doing. That's why I wanted to do this today, because I wanted to school my brother. And I know he's going to go back and do a live stream, but he can't touch none of this information because it's real. Everything that I'm saying is real. It's not based on conjecture or opinion. So, it's given a map, it's given a breakdown in New York and Newark, New Jersey, right? In between New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, it's 1,100,000 black immigrants. All of this is black immigrants. We see Atlanta and the Sandy Springs and Roswell, Georgia region, 190,000 black immigrants. If you're familiar with the Sandy Springs and Roswell, Georgia area, you know that this is some of the most expensive real estate in black Georgia. They get the bag and they go to places that are already built up. Then they become the CEOs of companies over black freedmen because everybody just looks black the same in these places. We don't realize that us is happening, that we're being replaced. We got to talk to this, and we're going to always talk to this. So, black immigrants range from different regions all over the world, settled in different regions of the U.S. For example, the American South was home to the largest. I went through that. Let me see. 17% lived in the West. Caribbean-born black immigrants largely lived in either the Northeast, 48%, or the South, 47%, with just 3% living in the Midwest and Western regions of the U.S. Since 2000, the share of African-born black immigrants who reside in the South has remained about the same, while the share of Caribbean-born black immigrants who reside in the South has increased by 10 percentage points. So it's growing. The share of Caribbean-born black immigrants who reside in the Northeast has also fallen over time. In 2000, a 58% majority lived in that region, which dropped to 48% in 2019. Why? Because a lot of them are simply moving south, but their numbers are still great in the Northeast. While the population of Black immigrants in the South, Midwest, and West have each at least doubled between 2000 and 2019, the population of Black immigrants in the Northeast has seen a more modest growth of about 41% over that same time span. So let's start looking at this chart. More Black immigrants live in New York and Florida than anywhere else in the country, right? Florida, you have a lot of Haitians. New York, you have a lot of Jamaicans, Trinidadians, Panamanians, just generally people from the islands tend to migrate to New York. So we're looking at the number, right? We see in 2019, 900,000 Black immigrants in New York. So I'm gonna put this link in the chat. The Black demographics. This is a wiki link I'm putting in the chat. Yeah, I want y'all to click on that because I don't want to do a stop screen share and go back to the screen. Matter of fact, I can do that. Y'all just keep this number in mind. 900,000 Black folks. 900,000 Black folks. Black Caribbeans, excuse me. Let's do this screen share from this wiki article on the Black demographics. New York City. This is from the Black demographics in New York City. So it says 2020 census demographics. As according to the New York City Department of City Planning, I don't got to read on it. There were almost equivalent populations of 2.7 million white residents, 2.4 million Hispanic residents, and 28.3%. Meanwhile, there were 1.7 million. Let's read the whole number. 1,776,891 Black residents at 20% of the New York City demographic. That number is down, which means that because for years, if I'm not mistaken, the 2010 census has shown that the Black share of the population in New York City, that's all Black folks, are it was 25%. So now we see, according to the 2020, we're seeing our numbers dwindle. And I told Garfield that he needs to be worried as well. He needs to be worried as well. So let's stop screen sharing that. So I want to BTP Josh in the building. Let me put my headphones on. I want you to jump in a few minutes, Josh. Let me do these numbers real quick because I want to speak to New York City. And they say New York City. All right, so let's put these numbers in the calculator. Let's do a screen share real quick. Let's do a screen share real quick.
Peace.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Let me run through this real quick before you jump in, Josh. I got some notes pulled up if I need to go to them. So let's put these numbers. 1,776,891. All right, 891. This is the number of Black Americans in New York City, which is now 20%, down from 25%. So let's minus that from the number of Black immigrants, not just Caribbeans, Black immigrants in New York City, which is 900,000. So minus 900,000 Black immigrants. Let's see what the total is. 876,891. That means, family, that there's a possibility, because it looks like the Pew Research numbers are rounded off to the nearest 100,000, right? That the Black immigrant population in New York City has overtaken the Black freedmen population in New York.
Wow.
Yes. A lot of freedmen have moved back south where their families are, where the cost of living is cheaper, etc. I'm one of them. Although I didn't move to a state where my family came from, South Carolina, I did move back south. I live in the state of Georgia now, and I'm urging all of my people to leave that place. Our political power there is weak and waning, and I'm going to get into some of that in a few minutes. Yeah, go ahead, Brother Josh. Well, speak to some of what you heard so far. Isn't that crazy that according to the numbers, the black immigrant population equals or is greater than the black freedmen population in New York City?
Yeah, that's that is wild, man. That's wild. I'm not surprised. In the DC area, um, DC used to be called Chocolate City. You don't hear it
Mm-hmm.
being called that no more. It's a whole lot of other cream been swirled into that chocolate. So we just got to call it like Latte City or something
Mm-hmm.
now. I heard some people say Chocolate Chip City because you got a few
Chocolate chip
freedmen
city, latte
sprinkled.
city. It's
Yeah,
getting there. It's
yeah.
getting there.
And then so it's a trend that we see around the country. I think other places haven't felt it as bad as some of the major metropolitan hubs, and especially places outside of the South, like the West Coast, the Northeast. But and then up here, we're seeing it, and it's because a lot of these major hubs where businesses are being headquarters, where it's a lot of universities to have high skilled labor, and these are major hubs of industry. These are major hotbeds where people want to live. Those used to be places where people didn't want to live, where they just said, "Freedmen, you get stuck here and jammed in these small confines of these ghettos." And then they say, "You know what? This location of these ghettos is actually prime location. We can."
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, when we are looking to, like, think about it. If you're a person that's in the real estate or any business, you're what you're trying to do is you're trying to buy low and you're trying to sell high.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the epitome of low and cheap area is where freedmen have been and where
That's
freedmen
right.
are, because they automatically going to make our area the most devalued place. So if I'm a person that's speculating, I want to get that. I want to get them up off of there, and I want to get that at a cheap price, because I know once we flip it, now it's a new hot area, and I can sell it at a 10x, 4x to 10x or whatever the case may be. And so that's what's going on all around the country.
Mm-hmm.
New York City, to me, it also is. New York has also been a hub of imports. You know, if you think about it from the beginning, it's a place where people, it's easy to do business and imports. Most people, when they think of America, they think of a huge urban metropolis like New York. So that's their idea of America. So that's where they want to go. When you're a tourist and you want to see America, you want to go to New York. So it's the same thing if you're a person that's wanting to, come to the country. So I'm not surprised, especially with the islands, and especially if you coming to a community that's already uh, established. It's different. Like if you were a Chinese person and you want to go to like some backwoods place in Pennsylvania, or even some backwoods place in Mississippi or Alabama or something like that. Chances are it's not going to be a large community of other Chinese folks. The same thing with any other nationality. It probably won't be a large community. But when you go to New York City, there's already a Chinatown. There's already a whole bunch of, Chinese folks. When you go to some of these, like even the DC area, it's a Chinatown. It's a community that you can instantly come and be a part of, and you're not feeling out of place. You're not feeling like you're forced to conform.
Hey, California, right? You
Yeah,
got
of
San
course.
Francisco. You got uh, Los Angeles. I mean, it's Chinatowns everywhere. Yeah, go ahead, bro. I'm just adding that in, man.
No, no, no. So I think the problem is people don't want us to be able to talk about this. Number one, you know, people are used to us just being stepping stone for everybody else. You know, just we're just here, like, and largely it's because of acquiescence. You know, it's because of acquiescence. We have been allowing it to go on for so long. Like, you know, you let somebody talk to you like a dog and talk to you any kind of way, and then as soon as you're like, wait a minute, I'm a man too. You ain't talking to me like that. I'm a
That's
grown
right.
person. You know, or you know, it's a certain point where as a parent, you probably have to look at talking to your kids a certain way. You know, when they get from up underneath your, you know, household, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not the one paying all their bills, and you're not the one
Mm-hmm.
supporting them. You know, they taking care of their own family. Now, you know, you can't talk to them the same way you did when they were 8, and when they were 5, when they were 13, when they were 17. You know, and I think it's like people are so used to talking to us. I'm using it as a metaphor, as kids, because we've allowed them to. We've allowed other groups to think that we just a stepping stone. We really say, no, we are our group, and we gotta handle our business. And the agenda of allowing a mass influx of people to come and displace us, to come and, you know, seize scarce resources, to come and take advantage of the political environment where we haven't been you know, we part of it is we haven't been pressing the issue for things specific to us. So other people are like, okay, well, we just gonna come in, we gonna do that,
That's
you
right.
know.
That's right.
So no, now we saying nah, all that's done. Them days over. We falling off a cliff, and we're the most desperate and in need group in the country. I don't care what people say about any refugees. I don't care what like, we were the original refugees, and nobody gave a damn. There was no care package. There was no special things set up to
That's right.
support us through all the things that we, you know, the crisis and collapse in our community. So if people never cared about what was going on in our community, they just preyed on it. Then, like, how can you expect a lot of sympathy? That's the thing. I was listening to the brother Garfield for a little bit yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I sensed that he understood the need of some type of commonality to be able to fight for some of the things that we may have in common, have common ground to
Mm-hmm.
fight for. But he thinks that the main reason why we shouldn't, look, now correct me if I'm wrong. What I interpreted was, he thought the main reason why we shouldn't even speak on the topic of immigration was really because people were getting their feelings, not because it was righteous. It's because he figured it would be, if people were just getting their feelings and they wouldn't hear what we got to say, they wouldn't give any credence to any nuance of the conversation. They just, but like, look, you might, just because somebody is catching feelings about something that is affecting me, like, why you think their feelings is more important than me actually suffering? Like, them, how they feel about me talking about my suffering is more important than me actually suffering. How does that make any sense? So I don't know, bro. That's kind of what I got from it. Like, look, for for you to dismiss our gripes about America's mass immigration policy is either out of ignorance of how it affects you and us, or you just saying that you don't care about
That's right.
what affects us.
Or
As
it's
long as
both.
you got, as long as, yeah,
Or it's
you
both.
don't, yeah, you don't care how it affects us, and you know, you would rather, you're too worried about respond to when you speak on it. You're too worried about people. Oh, it's taboo, man. I don't care about taboo. We way past the time. A lot of things to talk, like, to even us to say we're our own group has been taboo. It's been made taboo. For us to talk about reparations, that was taboo. For
That's
us,
right.
like, but for us to not say Ann Brown and bring up Ann Brown and invite Ann Brown to every discussion,
That's right.
that's been taboo. That's, look at, just listen to the language of the people that are in politics. They never can say even black. Of course, they're not gonna say freedmen.
That's right.
That's, they need to, but they, But when they say black, they're gonna say and brown. They never
That's right. Black
not
and
say that.
brown people
Right.
all the time.
Go ahead. Go ahead, bro. Take it away. That's just my 2 cents on when I was listening to that and what I didn't hear stated.
And you know, like they think that it's white supremacist talking point. Let me put this link in the chat to say that these immigrants are taking our jobs. And one of the other things that I notice is that whenever you say immigrants, black immigrants always get triggered. So you could be talking about immigrants in totality, but it appears as if only the black ones get triggered. It's right. It's like, oh, we don't want you talking about immigrants and immigration because that's tied to my family. So basically, I care about my class of people, and I don't really care about your class of people, and I don't want you to talk about it. And that's what Garfield was basically telling me. Shut up about immigration. Shut up. No, we not shutting up at all. So I put a link in the chat. This is, and I'm about to get into some stuff, right? So because I talked earlier about how A. Philip Randolph, they called him the Lion back in the days. That was one of my old rap names, the Lionhearted. Might have to take that mantle back up, walk in the shoes of the great freedman ancestor A. Philip Randolph. But he spoke about how the West Indians did not try to become citizens back in those days. They just came over here to work and get their money. And he spoke about how detrimental that was to our plight politically. Because the Irish and the Jews, he said, they formed themselves politically. And I read from Roy Becks's book on that to confirm that, right? Like that's what we do. We pull from several sources and we show people that we're not just pulling stuff out of our hats, but that this is what was going on at the time. And if you don't have political power, you're weak. So if you don't have political power, then how is that going to affect you in the job place and in the job market and in colleges? So that paper, the link, when diversity for diversity's sake is not enough, should black immigrants receive the benefit of affirmative action at the detriment of Native blacks? This question is asked why? Because black immigrants receive the benefit of affirmative action that they don't deserve. They don't deserve that. And the paper shows what happens when you give black immigrants these benefits. Not only these benefits, black immigrants, like all immigrants, get a bunch of stuff going for them. A bunch of stuff that freedmen simply don't get. They're already boosted. They a lot of them enter the job market already standing on much more solid ground than freedmen are. We're in quicksand, us American freedmen. We're in quicksand trying to climb to some type of solid ground. America says, here's solid ground for you. Step here. You're going to be all right in about 5, 6, 7 years. I know some Africans where I went on one African dude at the last job, not the last job I worked at, but the job I worked for 3 years. This dude was killing them. 800 credit scores, 41K in his 401K. I mean, the dude was killing him. And then he told me, I don't spend money here. You know, outside of my mortgage and my car and all of that. He said, I send my money back home. That's what this dude told me. We got cool because I wanted to know. I was getting deeper into the movement, deeper into this understanding, and this dude flat out told me. It's like, oh, okay. I used to just act like I'll just come back and report it here on Be the Power. Tell me more. So in this paper, it says, pay attention to this, family. I hope Garfield is listening. I hope he sent the link to Stu Pease and the rest of his panel. Because, like, we don't do emotional opinion-based scholarship because that's really not scholarship. Well, it can be, but it's just bad scholarship. We do facts. So this study shows that, furthermore, attending a selective institution can open many doors to its graduates, particularly Black graduates. Graduating from a top tier institution can lead to higher incomes. These higher incomes are likely associated with the beneficiaries of affirmative action obtaining employment where Blacks were historically and are presently underrepresented. I want to say the name of the title of this paper again. When diversity for diversity's sake is not enough, should Black immigrants receive the benefit of affirmative action at the detriment of Native Blacks? Take that into account with the last sentence that I read. These higher incomes are likely associated with the beneficiaries of affirmative action obtaining employment where Blacks were historically and are presently underrepresented.
Brother
It could,
Nyhiem.
go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I just want to speak to something,
Mm-hmm.
right along these lines. I think, you got to keep in context the history of the freedmen in America,
Mm-hmm.
and how we got to where we are, being at the bottom of damn near all the social economic metrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wealth, income, education, attainment, all these type of things. And that's not the same story for the Black immigrant population that's in America right
That's
now.
right.
And in large part, that's because of the level of selectivity that comes from that group. Oftentimes the people that are selected to get access to America, to even get visas and then citizenship, those are people who have a higher propensity for risk taking. Those are people that have come from upper class to elite backgrounds in the country they're in. They come already with certain levels of wealth and education, pedigree. They come with certain levels of college degrees, or different type of credentials. And it's if you were a bank and you wanted to give out a loan, you would kind of want to see people's track record and people's credit score. It's almost like they come with an elevated credit score to be given a loan from America, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
use that analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and just not everybody. There are some refugees, but let me also say something to this too. It's a lot of people that claim to be refugees that's not. They just able to get that status and then get access to America, and they may have been elite where they were from and they weren't dealing with no crisis. That's and don't look. Just understand what I'm saying, and I'm sure you can talk to some people coming from those countries that would, if they had to tell the truth, they would attest to that story. Uh, and also I gotta say this too, man. You know, you got to look at the fact that if we are the people that have received the most damage by the hands of America, why did they institute a lot of these programs like affirmative action? It wasn't because they thought that, oh, we need to increase diversity and we need no, that wasn't because it was because they knew that damage was done, and it was a soft form of reparations to do some type of repair or to kind of spread some of the equity out. How is that any type of justice when you're giving it to new people that just coming over here? So that's why when you see uh pushback or discontent when it's mentioned that the first black this one, the first black that one, is coming from people who didn't experience the damage in America, is because we are feeling like these people are being able to access the high levels of achievement and given the fast track to get to these type of achievements in America, and then they're being categorized as the same people as the freedmen who built America, who've been through hell in America, who paid all the costs in America, and then you're it being portrayed like the freedmen are the ones that are now have overcome it. We didn't need to do reparations. They were able to fight through it and still able to achieve. No. So that's the main problem. And for people to act like if you don't understand that, I don't know how you don't understand that now. I would just have to say either you've just been isolated in your community and you haven't been listening, or you just and not trying to understand it, or you understand it and you just want to keep that position where you can steal and take advantage of our people, and therefore you are an enemy to our progress. And we are feeling like you know we've been making this claim for such a long time that it can't be that you don't know. It can't be that you don't know. You know. So stop playing. If you're trying to say you on the same side as us and you are fighting with us and we got the same type of plight and all that kind of stuff, then you need to be in agreement with what I'm saying right now. And you need to be in alignment. And you need to, you know, call out the BS when you see it, like, just like we are. And when we call it out, you need to be like, that's right, brother. You know. And look, lastly, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna pass it back to you. It's nothing wrong, in my opinion. It's nothing wrong with saying I come over from my family was privileged. I was the white person in my country, or I came from a middle class upbringing. I came to America.
Garfield said that.
Yeah.
He says
Yeah.
his family was good in Jamaica. He didn't have to come over here. They didn't have to come over here. Like, why y'all came? Why not build up your country? You got all this political education and knowledge now. Why not build your country up? That, to me, it makes no sense. But because that's what I would be trying to do, right? That's what I would be trying to do. I would be trying to build my country up, right? That's why we're doing and making a call for our people to come back to the South. That's the reason.
Man, these people ain't trying to do it. But people, most of these people, they have national pride, just kind of like, it sounds good and it feels good, but they concerned about their own well-being, their own enjoyment of life. And let's face it, America's the dopest country, man. America got everything. America got whatever opportunity you want to take advantage of. You can take advantage of it in America. The place where you can. I mean, America got the best infrastructure. If you an old person, if you raising kids, you know what I'm saying? America got the best schools for education.
Mm-hmm.
If you want into real estate, America got the best location if you got money. If you want employment, if you want a nice floor where you can have government safety net programs and free education for your kids, America got that. If you want to go to the best schools, America got all the best schools. Like, America's the dopest country. So I know on one hand, some of these people may want to build up their country, but the allure of being able to come and access money so you don't have to live in poverty while you're trying to and suffer and not having, when you call 911 because you're having a heart attack, or so your mama is sick or your baby is dying and they can't get to you quick enough. Like, that's what America's about. All the roads is paved, like America's just the dopest. So like all this fake, you got, look, if America's the dopest country, you need to have that American flag in your windshield. You don't need to have all these other flags. You know what I'm saying?
That, you see what I'm saying? It don't make no sense. Then they get on us for displaying the American flag. But I gotta address something.
Go ahead, brother.
Eshorinkt. I don't know what that means, if I'm saying it right, whatever. But he asked, or she asked, bro, what does Garfield being a Jamaican American got to do with anything? He's riding for our liberation more than most of these FBA that will sell us out first chance they get. His being a Jamaican American has a lot to do with everything, because it becomes a point of, this ain't your business, bro. And I told him that before. This ain't your business right here. This is our business. I don't need you to tell me anything. I need you to tell me if you're going to speak on this, that you're going to support or you're not going to support. And basically what he was telling me yesterday was, Lord Abba, if you keep bringing up these facts about how immigration is hurting our people, I'm not supporting what you're doing. But I don't care. I really don't. It's 30-something million of us. Here's only 4-point-something million of y'all. And our political power grows by each passing day. This Freedman thing is moving. And he spoke of FBA, right? I don't claim FBA. I don't call myself FBA, but Tariq Nasheed is championing much of what we are about, right? And for that, our interests are aligned, period. Our interests are aligned. So, and they tried to get me to go at Tariq Nasheed yesterday. I guess they thought because we use our old title of freedmen. Mute out real quick, George.
My bad.
Background noise a little bit. I'll mute you. Just unmute when you're ready to jump back in. So,
For sure.
So when he you know, that typical divide and conquer tactic that we see from white supremacy, right? It's funny they try to equate us to white supremacy, but they're using all of the white supremacy tactics. It's like, nah, I ain't got no problems with Tariq Nasheed. I disagree with him on some things. There's some things I disagree with Tariq Nasheed on, but guess what? I said that to Tariq Nasheed directly when he came into our space, because he was bold enough and brave enough to come in our space and have a bill with us. A lot of dudes, they not doing that. Garfield said he's not jumping on the link. And the things that we disagree on is minute compared to the many things that we agree on. It's as simple as that. Our interests are aligned. So let me pull up his other comment. Jamaican is a European construct. And American is a European construct. So what is this Jamaican American? Garfield made some valid points yesterday. Well, if you're a fan of Garfield and you're probably a Jamaican or immigrant, etc., then making silly claims or silly comments, excuse me, because this is a silly comment. Jamaican is a European construct. Jamaica is the name of a country.
That's right.
A person that comes to America and becomes a citizen has an annexation. Liberian American, Chinese American, Japanese American, Kenyan American, Zimbabwean American, Ghanaian American, Brazilian American, etc. What do you mean? If you don't know that, then of course Garfield makes valid points to you. You need a little more education, fam. So, Josh, before you come back, and let me read this last part from that piece, When Diversity for Diversity's Sake is Not Enough, Should Black Immigrants Receive the Benefit of Affirmative Action at the Detriment of Native Blacks? I want you to go in a little bit. Then I'm going to pull up some shocking stuff about how non-citizens in this country are hurting us more. So it says the overrepresentation of the Black immigrant perspective compared to that of Native Blacks at selective institutions could result in further repercussions, such as in workplace diversity, where Black immigrants displace Native Blacks not only at selective colleges and universities, but also in these future employment opportunities. Those Black immigrants who would carry with them very different perspectives than those of Native Blacks. Let me read that one sentence real quick again. The overrepresentation of the Black immigrant perspective, Garfield, I'm talking about right now. His perspective is different. Don't come in here and talk about Black liberation and fighting for Black liberation. The people that's fighting for Black liberation, we know who they are. It's not Garfield. I'm not saying that Garfield doesn't do lectures on white supremacy, and I'm not going to dare say that. But we're talking about, you talk about fighting for our liberation. You're looking at the fighters on your screen and the many, many people that you don't know about because you're not in this fight. And I could start naming names, right? So it says the overrepresentation of the Black immigrant perspective compared to that of Native Blacks at selective institutions could result in further repercussions, such as in workplace diversity, where Black immigrants displace Native Blacks, not only at selective colleges and universities, but also in these future employment opportunities. Brother Garfield, this is not white supremacy. These are facts. That goes for Narcan and Cobra and their representatives, Ray Winbush, Jam Ayuwu Yar, or however you say your name, and Cam Howard, and all the rest of you people trying to make it seem like these are white supremacist talking points. They are. Yo, Brother Josh, go in before I start.
Hey,
Curse.
bro. Sorry, man. Let me hop back on with you.
All right, no doubt. My brother Logic, shout out to BTP Logic. I see the let me pull up the correct one. Garvey never shed any blood for liberty. Our ancestors did. Garvey, they don't like the fact that we go in that Garvey. A Jamaican, they don't like that either. We call Garvey the Messiah of mission drip, and some people, even in this reparations movement, etc., that may call themselves hashtag or FBA or whatever, they don't like when we say that. But it's a fact. It's a fact. Like, we gotta, again, yeah, I've come through many different schools of thought that I left behind because I noticed that they didn't elevate my mental to a place where one could access the power in this country. They are just, it's feel-good rhetoric. I listened to the debate. I watched it between Tazariak and Malik Zulu Shabazz, and Malik Zulu Shabazz was saying that same old Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture type rhetoric. Now, I'm not going to say Kwame Ture wasn't out there fighting for our people, but who the hell was he to go against Martin Luther King Jr.? Who the hell was Marcus Garvey to go against A. Philip Randolph and to go against W.E.B. Du Bois and Frederick Douglass, etc.? Who the hell was he to come over here and skip the line and center himself and tell our people we need to go back to? Now, we got to talk about this stuff, family. Nah. We got to look at it from a different perspective. If you are really about this political work, then you're going to see what we're saying. Because I just read earlier from A. Philip Randolph and what he felt about West Indians. These were immigration restrictionists, and so am I. So am I. That's right, Sister Shannon. He went to the UK. He didn't go to Africa. He called the natives of Africa backwards and savage, Garvey did. Why didn't he go there first? If you're trying to build an army, you're trying to raise the people up, you would go unite the people in these countries and say, let us now look towards the United States of America. Period. Period. Shout out to my sister Morgan in the building. Oh, you got to shout my sis out. Shout out to everybody listening there. Straight up, man. Shout out to all my peoples that's listening there. Yeah, what's up, Josh?
Yeah, bro. I just wanted to make an appeal for people to act in their own best interests, right? For some reason, a lot of these people think that America, the country that they are living in, the country they're choosing to raise their children in, that their children are going to have to compete in the world of business and in the job market. The country that they're going to have to pay American prices and pay American rent and buy American, products and stores and things like that. So American toilet paper from American stores. They're going to have to pay for gas prices in America. All these things.
That's right.
You're going to have to live in the city. You're going to have to live in America. So how do you not understand that it's not in your best interest for America to flood the country with a lot more people to compete with you and your children for limited resources? There's certain budgets that's in education. There's certain budgets that's for, a certain amount of contracts that the city in your respective locale are gonna have
That's
in
right.
place. There's only a certain amount of people that can get those, certain amount of companies can get those.
That's right.
It's, you know, just understanding basic economics. You're not going to be able to keep the prices lower if you increase the population. Any in just basic economics will tell you that anytime you increase the supply of something, I mean, anytime you increase the demand for something, you're going to increase the price. So if you have way more people that are constantly being added by the millions and millions every year, how do you think that that's going to affect prices? Prices are going to go up because it's more people that are going to be in demand for these goods, and the resources are still scarce.
They don't care about that, Josh. They
Your
don't.
kids are going to have to compete for
They don't
jobs
care about
against
that.
people who are coming in that are undercutting their bargaining power in terms of labor, that are undercutting their prices for business. You know, that like that's how does that benefit you? You got to understand it benefits the people that are in power politically, because they can just aggregate. They can aggregate people to a lot of these groups and say see immigrant, now that's the new class of people that I'm fighting for. But you got to understand that doesn't benefit you as an individual. It's political. It's political expediency. It's not for the benefit of any of those groups. So I just want to make the case for people to educate yourself more about the issue. You'll see that mass immigration does not benefit the people who are already here. It just benefits the new people that come here. The people that are here, they get undercut. They get, you know, a lower quality of living.
That's right.
So if you understand that, then you shouldn't be in opposition to us on the issue, because in many ways we're that is one of the places where our circles intersect. That should be a shared interest to limit the range of chain migration and mass immigration, because both of those affect our quality of life and uh our economic well-being and prospects for our children. If you don't understand that, it's just because you've been propagandized and you've been you've been captured emotionally by the propaganda of the people in political power who want to see this mass immigration agenda move forward.
Indeed. Let me address a bunch of stuff in the chat I want to address. Damn, I still got another part of this thing to get. So I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna pull up Logic. Shout out to Ali and Logic in the chat right now. Shout out to the whole team, brother him as well. Let me see. Brother Logic said Garvey never built an actual army. Moses Dixon actually did. Look up Moses Dixon, family. Look up Moses Dixon and the Knights of Freedom. Why am I getting this interference? That's not coming from you, Josh. That's coming from me. I don't know if it's my phone. I think it may be. Let me put my phone down here. So let me pull this comment up. Hold on. This same Garfield. And let me know if you can hear that noise, Josh.
Your audio is kind of funky. Well, all right, it's good now.
Hold on. Yeah, go in real. No, but I won't. If you talk, I won't be able to hear what the problem is. There we go. I don't know. I think it's time for a new microphone anyway. Okay, so let me see. Damn, I lost it. Okay, so
you're clear on my end, bro.
All right, good looking, bro. Show Rent, or whatever says Garvey organized many of us than anybody you can name. Y'all are practicing tribalism. So this is what I'm gonna do.
Organized to do what?
Yeah, organized to do what? But I want to like. Let me see. Can y'all see that? This is Hubert Harrison. I just love this brother. He came from the islands, right? I don't know if y'all can see this book. It's the lightest too. There you go. I love this brother right here because he was different, right? This is who Garfield should try to be like. This brother Hubert Harrison, not Marcus Garvey. Garvey didn't. You got the nerve to talk about division. This brother critiqued Garvey. He's seen through his charade. I wish I could just open up to the exact quote and read from it, man, so y'all can hear exactly what this brother said about Garvey, man. Anyway, all of the elders went at Garvey. All of our freedmen, because they knew what he was doing was destructive, and he was saying stuff that people want to hear. It's just saying a bunch of stuff that people just want to hear. Yo, hold on. Sister Morgan, I'm about to give you a wrench. Hold on. Hey, Sister Morgan, put a comment in the chat real quick. I'll show love to my fan, man. So, let me see. All right, so, I mean, there's so many people that we can name. I urge you all to go back and look at the freedmen elders, our ancestors that critiqued Garvey. Go back and look at Garvey's stances. Like this dude, the brother Hubert Harrison spoke about this dude Garvey, man, and his inflated ego with his inflated numbers. That's what he was, the brains. Hubert Harrison was the brains behind Marcus Garvey's movement. And the Moorish science, we was taught that it was some dude named Deuce Muhammad Ali. I mean, I think he was an editor or something. This man right here, Hubert Harrison, was the brain behind Garvey's movement in the Negro World newspaper, etc.
And he wasn't a freedman.
And he was not a freedman. This is what you call a true ally right here. He separated his class-based arguments from his race-based arguments, right? And when it came to the freedmen, when it was freedmen specific, he understood. He called the American Negro the touchstone of this modern democracy. The touchstone is that thing where you take the gold and you rub it on and you put the solution on and you see first if it's real gold, then you see what grade of gold is it. What's the caratage, right? Is it 10, 14, 18, 22, or 24? He said we were the touchstone for this modern democracy, meaning our treatment here in America will let you know if this was a true democracy or not, a true republic. So,
And did he have any attempts to reach out and make good lines of communication and all of that in collaboration with the Ku Klux Klan?
no, hell no, not at all. But Garvey did. They talk about Lord Abba is reading from a white supremacist book, and their Messiah was cozying up with the Klan that was still really, really hanging our people. Man, y'all better get out of here,
that wasn't like today when they pretty much in name only. You know, they talking smack and they throwing up signs and they might have run over one person in, I don't know how many years, but we talking about the real devils that was really taking people off this earth in a gruesome manner. That's who was dealing with, Garvey was dealing with. Now we're not talking about, that's crazy.
Indeed. Damn, this brother had a. All right, I see your comment, Baruti. I'm gonna get to you. Don't worry, I got you. Where's that comment? Okay. So be the power. Michael Eason asks, what is your stance on Cobra and ADOS? And Cobra is a Pan-Africanist organization. Go back and watch the last live stream we did on the channel. Was that the last live stream? Yeah, that was the last live stream we did on Be the Power, if I'm not mistaken. And you'll see the breakdown. Narcan and Cobra are enemies to our cause. Period. ADOS is a cult. I just gotta call it for what it is. because I know that there may be some people that identify with that particular hashtag moniker, but the founders of that organization said if you are not a part of that organization, you are not ADOS, period. So that's my thoughts on it. That's a cult that has turned into, I believe, a 501c4 organization that centers itself around worship of the leaders of that cult. That's just to answer your question. Okay, so
Yeah, and for people that don't understand, just go and look at all the messaging. Take your personal affinity, or however you revere certain people that are at the head of that out, and just
that's
go
right.
and look at the messaging and see
That's
how
right.
is it messaging? Is there a lot of you know, one moment you are attack dog, and next minute you are uh you're
Getting
you're
attacked.
you're being a victim. You're a victim of everything. One minute, you're supposed to be fighting for reparations and all this kind of stuff, and the next minute, you you speaking out and going at people that are trying to get reparations done on and actually making more progress than you ever made, in California. How do those two things line up? And how were you always speaking in a position like on issues, and you think that everybody's supposed to care about, but it don't affect nobody but you as an individual. Like
That's right.
nobody cares about Harvard and all of that. Man, they made it. They was riding on that for a whole over a year with the same messaging, Crimson Smear and all of that. Man, that ain't no like our people across America don't care nothing about that.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, everything is the center self and elevate self. It's not the messaging is not about lifting up the whole group. What happens is the game that's played is you see there's enough of that undertone to get you thinking that's what it's about. But in a similar way, you got to look at it like you looked at Black Lives Matter. A lot of people were saying Black Lives Matter because it's a powerful statement, but the statement got made into a group. They took the statement and they made a corporation behind it, and nonprofit corporation where the individuals profited and they able to reap the benefits of tens of millions of dollars coming through the hands of that organization. And at the end of the day, you come to find out they buying mansions, they go on all kind of trips, they live in a lavish life, and the people who was really the face of that was the victims and their families, and you didn't see those tens of millions going to them. You don't really see any policy that came from any of that.
That's right.
And you just saw personal elevation. So you don't want to, if you can say Black Lives Matter, but understand at the same time by you saying that, you elevating the stature and the brand of that organization.
That's right.
And you got to ask yourself, do you want to repeat that same mistake?
That's right. That's right. Talk to him, Josh. Talk to I don't know what these people thought, man. We different over here, family. Shout out to my sister Morgan. She said we don't be bragging enough. She said we too humble. We gotta talk. We gotta start talking our talk over here. So I'm gonna do this one more piece before we close this thing down. Right. Make sure y'all get them likes up, family. Share the video out. Let people know a real conversation is going on. A sourced up conversation, not one predicated upon emotionalisms and calling people names like, white supremacists and, we are immigration restrictionists. Point blank, period. We are immigration restrictionists over here. Immigration is killing us. We got a whole we did a book club on it. Go back in our archives a couple weeks ago. We did a book club on Roy Beck's book, Back of the Hiring Line, a 200-year history of immigration surges, employer bias, and depression of Black wealth. Then we had a discussion with the author a week later. Come on, man. So let's pull this up right here. Ah, this is hilarious. I want you to, there's some key language in one of these articles I'm about to read because it all goes back to us. It all goes back to the freedmen, man. Care what these people talking about. We're never going to stop talking about this topic. New York is about to let non-citizens vote. It could reshape local politics forever. About 800,000 green card holders and others authorized to work in the country will become eligible to vote for mayor, city council, and other local offices. These people are not citizens. They're not citizens. They're just here doing jobs that they box the freedmen out of, especially in New York. Any black politician that's a freedman, that's in New York, that's with the Congressional Black Caucus, or even if they are Caribbean, African, whatever, I want you to go look at their history and their track record. They tipped the scale in immigration advocacy and pushing for legislation that aids immigrants in their plight here. When it comes to us, we have to always capitulate to white supremacists on the right because they don't really want to do nothing for us anyway on the left, right? So, okay, let's read this though. New York. It was 1986, and New York's public school system was ran by a patchwork of elected local school boards, all of them hotbeds for fiery debates about how kids were learning or weren't. Like most school board elections in America, turnout was low, producing opportunities for small voting blocks to shape the outcome. One group of concerned parents saw the opening: immigrants. I like framing. I'm a big fan of framing. When we used to do the Be the Power at first, said, well, you know, I got some complaints. Like, yo, Abba, you kind of be going too long in the beginning. And the reason why was I love to frame stuff because that's what every good researcher does when they make the presentation of their research. They want to couch it in something that's relatable before they give a full breakdown of it, so that you could keep that in the forefront of your mind as you're going through the presentation. All right, let me continue. New York's school board races stood out among American elections because they allowed non-citizen parents to vote. And Dominicans in the Washington Heights neighborhood of Manhattan helped mobilize 10,000 parents to register. Among those they installed, Guillermo Linares, who went on to become the first Dominican-born elected official in the United States, serving on the city council and state assembly. And we got some people in this chat. Sister Roz could tell you about some of what's going on in the New York school system. I don't know if Brother Tony Blunt is still in that chat, but we got some people that could tell you about the discrimination that goes on in the New York school system and how immigrants come first. They get everything. We get nothing. And if we do get something, smear crumbs from the whole slices of the pie. New York put its mayor in charge of schools in 2002, shuttering the local boards and ending non-citizen voting. They highlight a quote from a woman named Nora Moran that says, every voter who's able to turn out is good for our democracy. Now, 2 decades later, a national movement to give voting rights to legal non-citizens has found its way to the country's most populous city, and pending court battles will soon give those immigrants the chance to shape local elections. About 800,000 green cards. Like we read that part already, right? So let me see. I'll read this. The impact on local elections could potentially be far-reaching. The city's electorate consists of just under 5 million active registered voters, meaning a major push to register immigrants and get them to the polls could reshape politics in New York. So the overall population is 8 point something million, and only, man, these ads, man, these ads are crazy. 5 million. All right, I'm not going to get into that, right? That part, trying to figure out the registered voters versus the non-registered voters. But that 800,000 tips the scale. That's almost 1 million people. It says proponents say non-citizen voting will give more political clout to communities whose concerns have often been overlooked and force candidates and elected officials to be responsive to a broader swath of the population. Opponents who are challenging the law in court predict it could be a logistical nightmare and charge the increased influence for immigrant voters could come at the expense of U.S.-born black voters, meaning freedmen, y'all, who, as I've shown earlier, according to the 2020 numbers, the black immigrant population either outnumbers or almost the same as the black freedmen, the American freedmen population is in New York City. Let me put that link in the chat. Y'all know how we do, which brings us to this next article. Now watch this, family. Y'all think that's crazy. Watch this.
You ain't going there. I hope you ain't going to where I think
You already
you
know
talking about earlier.
I got to go there. I got to go there.
This is
Boom.
crazy, man.
This
That's
is crazy.
Oh man, yo, that's crazy, bro.
California Democratic bill will allow non-citizens to become police officers. Let that let that stew for a minute. I'm just cracking the little jokes on the brothers over on Garfield. Let that stew for a minute, family. California Dem bill will allow non-citizens to become police officers. Let me see, man. Skinner's bill would allow only legal immigrants who are in the U.S. on a green card or another form of legal visa to become police officers. It would not allow undocumented immigrants to become police officers in California, as that would be a violation of federal law. A new California bill will allow non-citizens to become police officers in the state. Quote, existing law, with certain exceptions, prohibits a person who is not a citizen of the United States from being appointed as a member of the California Highway Patrol. This bill would remove that prohibition and would make conforming changes, the bill says. SB 960, proposed by Democrat Senator Nancy Skinner, would reform the provision that an individual must be a citizen or permanent resident of the United States in order to become a police officer. The bill makes no distinction between legal and illegal immigrants. The bill was previously voted on at the end of March with 4 ayes and 1 no. I guess that means yays, but they pronounce ayes, excuse me. 4 ayes and 1 no. Democratic Senators Stephen Bradford, my Cali family. Let's get some background on these people. Some Democratic Senators, Stephen Bradford, Sidney Kamlager, and Scott Weiner, along with Skinner, all voted in favor of the bill. Senator Rosalishi Ochoa Bog, Republican, voted no. So I'm guessing this was a 4-1 vote. We need some info on Skinner, this Skinner person. What is their stance to AB 3121 or the disaggregation bill for the freedmen out there in California, that if they're against that or would vote against it, I don't know, but they would propose such a bill to bring in more people that would be white supremacy adjacent, that would harm more freedmen in California and be protected by the fact that they have badges. The second day of the AB 31 hearing, after the vote passed for race excuse me, lineage-based reparations over race-based, as it's supposed to be. They did another stream. And in that stream, there were several people who got up and spoke about the deputy gangs in California, these white supremacists and Hispanics who took on white supremacist ideology, but particularly the Mexicans that became gang members inside of, well, it was white folks as well, inside of the sheriffs and police departments out there in California. How do you think that bodes for freedmen? Then to let non-citizens become police officers, fam. Again, I propose get out of them states. Let's come back to the South where our political advantages are greatest, where we could take this information and start building at the grassroots level. But, of course, you got to fight where you are. I hope nobody misconstrues what we mean by that. But I also hope you heed the warning and the warning signs, like the one we have up on the screen. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I just want to say anything that goes to giving more rights to and more options to non-citizens is that's synonymous with taking power away and opportunity and options away from freedmen, because now you just widen the base of competition with people who may not even share the same interests as you know,
That's
of
right.
national, because they may not have the national interest as the number one thing in their value system. They may not, you think about it, not all citizens are freedmen, but all freedmen are citizens.
That's right.
There's no people that American freedmen that are not citizens. They all there's no none of us are immigrants. All of us are multi generation, going back I don't know how many, at least 6, 7, 8 generation citizens. So you can't you can, so you cannot see that, expect us to be in favor of any policy that adds more people to a pool that we had some level of exclusivity to. And as far as adding, non-citizens, you got to think about. I mean, I try to think about, and I haven't read the minutes or anything to understand what the rationale was behind this, but I would think that it just goes to show you the rising level of mass immigration is so huge. I guess they figure they need to have some people that are from that status to be amongst the force of policing. And but there's not like that same type of consideration giving to meet the make accommodations for making sure that we're good, you know. So I don't know. I'm against anything that involves with giving rights of citizens away to people that are not citizens in key areas, when we already competed for scarce resources. We already experienced racism when it comes to hiring. We already at a disadvantage. So I'm not, like, when you talk about giving the right to vote to non-citizens, and you giving the right to determine whether somebody gets killed, whether somebody goes to jail and all that. I'm not for that. So that's just me, but I'm not for that.
Yeah. Can y'all hear me? Oh, it says I'm still live. Why did my mic mute automatically? I don't know what just happened. I don't know if y'all can still hear me. Put a one in the chat if y'all can still hear me. One, two, 1, 2. Okay, y'all hear me. All right. So let me see. I gotta address this stuff because I want to show people the difference between platforms, right? Because you can have hundreds of people listening to a bunch of people that don't know what they're talking about, but you can have the few, what's that word I was using a couple months, the clerisy, right? Those of us who are well read on this stuff, those of us that practice real erudition, the erudites, right? So, okay, he says, freedmen, who were we before we were so-called freedmen? See, this is what I mean. I don't know who this person is, right? And this is the problem with social media. People get to hide behind these names. They get to hide their faces. I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is. I just know that this is a person that supports Garfield's channel and support Garfield's position. That's all I know. And we know that because this person came into the chat supporting Garfield in his position. Who were we? I don't know if you're we. I don't know if you're a part of this freedman bloodline. I simply don't. I don't know what you mean by we. You don't understand the topic. You don't understand what we're fighting for. And, no offense, but people like you need to shut up. You need to just listen. Take notes. Go back and watch the channel. Go back and look at all of the content that we've been presenting for the past 2 years. Then ask questions, more informed questions. You'll be because once you do that, most of your answers are going to come to you anyway. You won't need to necessarily ask those types of questions. The next questions that will come would be, well, how can I assist? How can I assist? So let me see. I want to man, brother Ibrahim at a con. Shout out to Ibrahim, man. Our other BTP bro. He said non-citizens benefits creates a need for more illegals. I could take these on. I'm about to jump off anyway. Yeah, that's a fact. Like these people are triple dipping in the pool, fam. Just look at all of the benefits that they get. When they were bringing the Afghan refugees over here, they were fundraising all over the United States. On top of the government saying that they wanted to, I think it was $1,200 pocket money. This is around the time Hurricane Ida was going on. I seen no fundraising by people like Cori Bush or highlighting of fundraising like people like Cori Bush. These people that are supposed to be fighting for us and reparative justice. We've seen none of that. Seen none of that. So we got to fight on our hands, but we know we know what the mission is, family. We know what the mission is. And we're not going to let Garfield, Stools and Peas, Black Lion, or whatever, we're not going to let nobody take us off that path. And if you want to have the debate, we can do it on a neutral platform like Sanetta's channel. Ain't no need for us to just keep doing these videos back and forth. Let's get on Sanetta's channel and get it in. That's all we got to do. You could bring as many people as you want up with you. My team and I are sufficient. Hell, the team and I could fall back. We could just get anybody from that, one of the supporters that follow our channel and rock with us, to go on Sanetta TV that nobody's never heard of and shut down 6, 7 of them at the same time, like I was doing yesterday. And I didn't really necessarily call it shutting them down. I just was teaching them. And you could hear it as the conversation went along. I focused on them individually. Even the brother Seneb, he's a Lord Abba hater. I don't know why. I don't know why. He's just been that way. But there was a point where I was able to reach the brother, talk to him. Or you start talking about inflation and reparations. Like that means you don't understand monetary operations of the United States of America. You don't understand modern monetary theory. And we had the man who figured that out, Warren Mosler. We interviewed him right here on the platform. Go back and watch that video in the archives. I mean, we not over here just talking, family. We're building. The education comes first, step by step by step. The education has to be the first thing you get before you move forward. Because they kept asking me, yo, Abba, you're lobbying. You don't have no politicians backing you. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's why we say don't just fight the power, become the power. Then and only then will you have the power to make a change. That's what we're doing right now, setting ourselves up. That's why we got the nonprofit, the 501c3, the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, to do the things in our community, the community work. We're going to be setting up branches soon. We just wanted to make sure we have everything in place, because we're doing everything on our own. Everything we're doing on our own. Be the Power is our political arm. We're going to make that a 501c4, our political 527. We know what we're doing, fam, and we know what needs to be done. We don't need advice from somebody that's telling us to get and basically behind and back of NARC and in Cobra. That's what Garfield was trying to do. He wasn't trying to hear the facts of why we would never do that. He wasn't trying to hear that, fam. So it is what it is, man. I thank you all for coming in. It's some debates, man. The S-Show Rink dude said debate between Lord Abba and Garfield. Loser has to shut down their channel. Garfield has never, ever won a debate with me. I don't think he would agree with those terms. Whoever you are, E-Show Rink, whatever. Never, not one debate. Not one. Hell, I don't even know if he's ever won a point in any debate. They've just been washouts, all of them. All of them. That's right, Sister Riri. Lightweight. Lightweight. Let me see. My sister Morgan said, I'm not understanding how a Jamaican immigrant is going to be effective with swaying Black Americans against being self-interested. They're not. Next time I go live, Sister Morgan, I'm going to hit on this topic. I'm going to hit you up, and I want you to come on, and we're going to go in. We're going to go in. Let me see. My BTP Prime said Garfield would easily have to shut that channel down. Of course, Garfield can't win. He has no wins here. I don't care what the topic is. Straight up. I do not care. All right, so make sure y'all go to the website, family, usadof.org. Make sure y'all go to the website, bethepower.org. Look up our 12-point program. You know, they think we just talking, like we don't have a plan, that we don't have a list of political demand. Go to bethepower.org, read our 12-point political program, and y'all will see for certain that we do have a plan. We have a plan, and we're going to see that plan through, period. See, honors to everybody that's in the chat, you know, that's showing love and support. Shout out to everybody. I'm about to jump off, Josh. Josh about to come in. Josh was like, let me jump on while Abba about to jump off. Let me see. Like this dude is still asking the same dumb questions. Where did the Freedmens end? Yo, get out of here. Take your crazy questions back to Garfield and them channel, man. Let them make up some stuff and tell you anything. We don't do that here, man. We don't do that here. Let me see. Let the deportation of Garvey be a lesson learned to all you immigrant cowards who are enemies to the freedmen. Facts. I stand on that. 1,000%. Anybody that's trying to move me and my people away from our goals of political power and reparations, they ops, man. Let's call them what they are, ops. You can't possibly be fighting for us and be against what we're fighting for at the same exact time. Period. Let me see. Peace to brother Ty Harper. What's going on, fam? Shout out to Sister Kelly. All right, fam. So we're going to get up out of here. I know I've already said it, but let me say it again, man. Don't just fight the power, become the power. Let me get a click clack on that. Click clack on that. Become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. With that, I say peace.